Hi, Grant Soliven with the Financial Enhancement Group, and you're watching Elements in Focus. Thanks for being with us. I have the wonderful, the amazing, the legend himself, Rheaume, with us, Director of Financial Planning.
Wish my kids thought that when I walked into the room.
That's probably true. They are good kids, though. You're doing a good job raising them. But welcome, Elements in Focus, guys. Here we talk about the 5 critical elements that we find can lead to financial devastation for the families who aren't paying attention to them, right? I mean, success, we talk about it often, is not dependent on one thing, Aaron. Failure can be, though.
Yes.
And so these are the areas we've seen families get wrecked when it comes to their financial situation. And the area we're playing with in the most, ironically, and at the time of this recording, getting a little ahead of myself. At the time of this recording, we're in the investment playbook.
Mm-hmm.
And so for a lot of folks who've tuned in and said, hey, why aren't you guys covering the market? Well, that's for our market Carver. And it's one of the great pieces of content our firm produces where our managing partner and or chief investment officer go on and talk about what's going on in the market and the economy in the past week. That comes out on Thursday every single week. And so if you're looking for more of an investment-based content, I'd recommend you go look there. But what we're going to talk about today, Aaron, is not what to pick, how to pick, or what's going on in the economy. But when it comes to wrecking yourself, the investment playbook, making sure all your accounts that you're allocating are done appropriately and done together. And what are we talking specifically about that, Aaron? What do we mean?
Well, first and foremost, I'm going to take this conversation in a different direction.
Okay, no problem.
The first thing when you bring up, accounts like IRAs, 401ks, investment type of accounts, one of the things that we try to teach people with is first start to build tax diversification.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Grant, that's really making sure you're building different types of accounts, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what does my 401k look like? Do I have a Roth portion in that, or is it all tax deferred? Or are we contributing to a Roth IRA outside of what our employer plans allow?
Right.
Are we saving money in another type of investment account called a brokerage account, which we use as taxable? Setting the foundation of using those types of accounts allows you to control taxes as times change. And we're in the middle right now of a huge tax code potential overhaul. Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure we're starting to build the foundation with tax diversification. Now, leading into other topics is, okay, what do we do with those accounts now that we have tax diversification built? How are we utilizing the investment structure? And so, Grant, from your standpoint,
mm-hmm.
when we're looking at that, what do you mean, when we look at the IRA, the 401k, the Roth,
mm-hmm.
Why are there different things that we're doing with each one?
And I appreciate the pivot, Aaron, because you're actually 100% correct. What we tell a lot of families when we see them for the first time, it's that most people understand either investing or taxes. Rarely do we find individuals or families that understand both at the same time. So I appreciate what Aaron did to pull us back because he's exactly correct. How we invest in tax-deferred accounts, how we invest in brokerage accounts, how we invest in fixed accounts, etc., all depends on the tax wrapper that it's in. And
sure.
So, when we look at that, you've got to be careful with how you kind of invest and where you want to buy individual holdings, et cetera, because remember, in a taxable account, so a non-deferred, meaning a non-IRA, non-Roth IRA, non-401k, whenever you realize a security of any kind, you're going to pay capital gains tax, whether it be short-term or long-term. And there's a whole nother one of these that goes through all of that. So we'll let you guys mine that out for some information. But how you trade there must be, you have to understand what's going on from a tax perspective because that can really harm you, depending if you did it inappropriately. The other piece is, for distribution, that's where our firm really specializes. And so how we take dollars out of an account during retirement matters. How we get there matters. How we protect it matters. And what I want to kind of get out of this conversation today, Aaron, is this. Just because you have accounts like an IRA at one investment company, a Roth IRA at another investment company, a brokerage account at another investment company, you're not diversified. And let me tell you why. There are only so many stocks, bonds, and structured notes and other alternatives you can purchase. There's at one point we had 4,500 stocks you could buy in the United States. And today I think it's close to like 1,800. Everyone's investing in the exact same thing. It's the discipline that matters the most, not what you're buying. So making sure everything's coordinated effectively together, making sure you're understanding the underlying holdings of the mutual funds in your 401k, et cetera, matters the most. Go ahead, Aaron.
It also it matters from a spousal standpoint, too. And so we find a lot of times to where maybe a husband is doing one thing inside of their investment accounts and the spouse is doing another thing, and they're over here playing in this silo and the spouse is playing in this silo, and collectively they've got to bring that farm operation together. And
Well
so
said.
it's making sure you're not just looking at the individual account saying this is the purpose, it's collectively looking at it all together.
I think that's a perfect way to sum it all up, Aaron. Thank you. And for those of you that are looking for guidance on this, we welcome you to call in 800-928-4001 for a complimentary meeting where Aaron, myself, or one of our other advisors and team will sit down and go through all this with you in more of a deep dive in your specific situation. You can also reach out to us at yourlifeafterwork.com. And if you're looking for more content, remember the Market Carver's out there available to you. You can find us on Consider This program on any of the podcasting services listed, as well as the 4 radio stations that are there. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. It's always a joy to spend time with you. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We'll see you again soon. Thanks.